and welcome to a special investigative report on Superia 1600 and Natura 1600 presented by 202 Film Collective. My name is Roger.
I'm Matthew.
And this is not the first video that Matthew and I have collaborated on, although it is the first one that we're going to make for this brand new channel.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, the last video that we both collaborated on was about Fujifilm and their discontinuation of the legendary pack film FP100C.
And this was a good, 3 years ago,
about 3 years ago now. And today we come to you with more news about the Japanese giant.
Well, I wouldn't say it's all bad news, but we're going to try to make do a positive spin on it.
As much as we can.
As much as we can with Fujifilm. So... let's start, let's go back in time a little bit, back to 2016. And so there used to be an old formulation of Superia 1600 that
Indeed.
Ran, I think, starting in the mid 2000s and went all the way up to 2016 when they announced.
Came in 2002, 2003, and was produced for about 15 years after that.
So, that film's the old film of Superia 1600. I never got a chance to play with, but Matthew, you had some experience using it.
I did, yeah. I shot a few rolls of it, and only a few rolls. I believe that older version of Superia 1600 was in fact created to compete with Ektar 1000 from Kodak,
which is another film that does not exist.
Another high-speed film that is no longer with us. Yeah. My short review of the old formulation of Superia 1600 is it was terrible. Grainy, low contrast, very low saturation. It was a mess. I hated it. And at the time, high-speed color films were still kind of being developed. There wasn't really anything that convincing on the market. And basically your two options were Ektar 1000 or Superia 1600. So... since then, I hadn't really taken Fuji's high-speed color films that seriously until Roger introduced me to Natura 1600.
So this was actually on the trip that we took together to Japan.
We did. We went to Japan.
And I told Matthew, you have to get some of this Natura 1600. You have to try it out. So Natura 1600 was a Japan-only film. Okay, and it was released at the same time as Fujifilm released their Natura line of compact point-and-shoot cameras.
That's right.
So both of them had the Natura branding on it, and they were kind of designed to be used with each other. In fact, the Natura cameras actually had what they call the Natura mode. It was literally a button where if you pressed it, it would kind of make everything brighter, more color saturation, and just look better, right, essentially.
But how do you do that with film, Roger?
Well, what we suspect, actually, is that Natura 1600 was actually a native 800 speed ISO film, rather than its labeled 1600.
And yeah, part of what we wanted to talk about is really just how good of a film Natura is.
Yes.
I was blown away by it the first time I shot it. It looked nothing like the old Superia 1600. Just beautiful, beautiful skin tones. Beautiful every tone. Just great color, great grain structure, not distracting. Just a fantastic film to shoot, and it's one of your favorite color films.
Oh, absolutely. And then honestly, anyone who has shot Natura 1600 will attest that it is honestly, by far the best high-speed color negative film, hands down. But I would go even a step further and say that it's probably the most perfect color negative film ever made, because I have shot, despite it being a high-speed film, I've shot it in bright sunlight, and like you said, the skin tones are perfect.
It's just got incredible latitude.
The
exposure latitude, what it can tolerate in terms of over or in fact under exposure, if it is indeed an 800 speed native film, is just incredible.
And you might expect a high speed film to be super grainy, especially when you're overexposing it, but no, that's not the case at all. It actually has very fine grain.
And for me, that's why it beats Portrait 800.
Oh, hands
because,
down, absolutely.
The grain structure is just so much more flattering.
And not only could you shoot it, like I said, in bright sunlight, you could take that same roll that you were shooting earlier that day and then shoot it in low light conditions as it was meant to do, and you'll still get fantastic results.
And we'll be showing you some sample images on the screen right now.
In fact, if you want to shoot like a moody Blade Runner-esque neon filled cyberpunk scene, forget Cinestill 800, like, because as you guys, anyone who's used Cinestill knows that it is notorious for its halation effect, which is effectively you'll get blobs of these kind of glowing halos instead of
Funny what happens when you remove the anti-halation layer of a film, isn't it?
yeah, you think that there's a reason for having it there. But again, if anyone who's shot Natura 1600 would know that in low light you actually get sharp, non-blobby, natural looking highlights.
It's
color.
fantastic. It looks like a cinema film in those kind of lighting
absolutely,
conditions.
yeah.
It looks like, not like cine still, like we were saying. It looks like a cinema film that's been properly processed, and it just looks great.
What it's supposed to look like, essentially. Yeah. But of course, with anything Fujifilm, all that is good will not last. So in 2017, I believe, around October is when Fujifilm announced they will be discontinuing Natura 1600.
Yeah, about this time last year, in fact.
Right. So here's where it gets into Superia 1600. So very coincidentally, maybe like a week or two after their announcement, very coincidentally, they announced that they would be bringing back Superia 1600, or it would have this new
Or there would be a
formulation.
new Superia 1600. I heard about it first. At the time I was working for Southeastern Camera in Scarborough. By the way, if you guys need a place to send your film, definitely send it to them.
Shout out to Southeastern Camera.
They do a fantastic job. And we got the news that right as Natura 1600 was being discontinued in Japan, we suddenly had the ability to buy this new Superia 1600. And that already got me a little bit suspicious. But then Roger noticed something very interesting about the expiration dates on this film.
Well, of course, as soon as I heard that announcement, again, the timing was way too perfect. So I already started harboring suspicions that this would be just a rebranded Natura. So of course, I put in a huge order as soon as I heard the announcement. And when I actually got my hands on the, again, this new film stock, I realized that the expiration date was July of 2018.
Not even a year.
Not even a year
Yeah.
later. In fact, something like half a year, right?
6 or 7
And that
months,
is
yeah.
highly unusual for a brand new film to have such a short expiration date. Usually it's anywhere from 2 to 4 years, depending on film stock.
Right now it's November 2018 when we're shooting this
That's
video.
the time of filming right now.
If you were to go into your local shop and pick up a roll of Kodak Gold or maybe Ilford HP5, it's probably dated to at least sometime in 2020, maybe 2021. So to find a film, supposedly a brand new film, to come in with an expiration date that quick, even for a high-speed color film, is quite uncommon.
Yeah, so because of that, I had my suspicions that it was simply rebranded Natura 1600. Now, of course, there's always naysayers. There's always people who think that you're just making stuff up.
So the biggest difference was both of us shot this new Superia 1600 and both of us agreed it looked fantastic.
It looked exactly like Natura 1600.
Yeah, it looked like Natura 1600. And me having shot the original Superia 1600, I knew it wasn't a reissue of it. I mean, I knew it was a completely different film. But yeah, a lot of people have come to us and really been convinced that this is, maybe it looks like Natura, but it's a new emulsion. Why would they release it as Superia if it was just an older stock? But Roger actually did a bit of investigation.
So I did a little bit of digging on the actual official Fujifilm website, and I found the data sheets for both Natura 1600 as well as Superia 1600.
Which we're going to show now.
We'll put it up on the screen, and although, of course, the Natura is in Japanese and the Superia is in English, but if you notice that all of the numbers and all the figures show the exact same thing, which this should be the final piece of evidence needed to convince you that they are indeed the exact same film.
We're not just doing this to be vindictive about the people who thought it was a different film. The long and short of it is, for everybody who has told us that this new Superia 1600 is a new emulsion and it's going to continue to be available as Superia 400 Extra has been, it's not. It's clearly new old stock Natura 1600, which means there is a very limited supply of it.
And again, as of the time of making this video, which is November 2018, you cannot find Superia 1600 anywhere in your usual places. You can't find it on Amazon. You can't find it on B&H or Adorama. All these places that used to stock up until I think maybe a few months ago. But all of a sudden it's gone, which again further lends credence to my theory that this is simply just they're just getting rid of their old stock by rebranding it and dumping it in the North American market.
Which is not the first time they've done this, in fact. Those of you watching may remember a film that came in a red box called Agfa Vista, or Agfa Photo Vista, which...
Rest in peace.
Yes, indeed. The 200 speed version, I have conclusive data on the fact that it is indeed an old emulsion of Fujicolor 200.
Is it old, or is it just the same emulsion?
I think, it looks very similar to the new C200, but I believe it was a slightly older version of it.
All right.
But it's, Fuji owned the production of those Agfa films. So this would not be the first time Fuji has done something like this, released a new film which was really just to sell off their remaining stock of an older emulsion. If you want to try Natura, if you want to try, in our opinion, one of the best color films ever made.
Well, you have two options. One would be to order their actually branded Natura 1600 from Japan. And to do that, you would have to go on Amazon.co.Japan, and I think right now you would have to pay anywhere from $35 to upwards of $45.
Yeah, maybe think about $8 or $10 for shipping, and easily like $40
and that's
$50,
per roll.
right?
That is per roll of 35mm. Or you could, if you can get your hands on any remaining Superia 1600 here in the US, then you would only be paying, again, hopefully as of right now, still retail price, which is anywhere from $12 to $14, depending on your local camera shop, which is where we would suspect that is the only place left that you could find Superia 1600 left over, is these local camera shops, which of course shop local, support them. So consider this video a public service announcement, is if you still want to try, if you hadn't tried Natura 1600 when it came out, you still have a chance with Superia 1600. Or you did shoot Natura 1600 like us,
and you want to shoot it again,
and you want to make sure that your stash lasts as long as possible. I would go out and buy any 1600 Superia that you can get your hands on.
Because and actually I'm just noticing something interesting here. We've got the Wikipedia page pulled up here for discontinued Fuji films, which is
very long.
It's very long and not a very pleasant story that it tells. But actually, Superia 1600 and Natura 1600 are listed under the same bracket here. So, really what we want to point to here is that we both think it's a fantastic high-speed color film. Certainly, easily one of our favorites. And we want you to try it too, but you won't be able to for too much longer because it is very clearly old stock of Natura 1600, which means it's going away. So, like Roger said, if you can pick some up at your local camera shop, definitely recommend you give it a try. We'll go ahead and show you some sample shots now. And just to give you an idea, if you haven't shot it before, what it looks like, and if perhaps you want to try and pick it up before, it really does get properly hard to find.
Thanks for watching. This has been a 202 Film Collective special investigative report. If you're new to our channel, which you honestly should be, considering this is going to be our first video that we post, 202 Film Collective is a local group of film photographers in the Washington, D.C.
DMV area.
Area. So please check us out on Instagram, and we hope to be uploading new videos very soon.
Do we need like a catchphrase or something?
No,
like some sort of like slogan?
Like, comment, subscribe.
but it has to be clever. Like
no, we'll think on that one.
Right.
Come up with something eventually.
Okay, sounds good.